I have won the lottery 5 times, and I did not win because of luck or chance. I won because I understood the truth that all of life is shaped by the power of my imagination. I have repeatedly affirmed to myself, day after day, that I am a magnet for abundance. I have believed deeply and without doubt that wealth and prosperity are my natural state. With every moment I've spent in this belief, I have realized that the world I see is not the world that dictates my reality, but my inner world, the world of my thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs, is the true creator of everything I experience. I saw myself winning, I felt it, I imagined it, and I knew it was inevitable. It all began with one simple truth: I am the master of my own reality. I realized that the external world was simply a reflection of my inner world. If I could impress upon my subconscious mind the idea that I was already a winner, that I was already a millionaire, then the world would have no choice but to reflect this truth back to me. And so I did. I sat quietly, closed my eyes, and felt the thrill of winning, not just once, but over and over again. I imagined myself celebrating my victories, feeling the joy, the excitement, the freedom that came with each win. I imagined the numbers, I imagined the check, I imagined what I would do with the money. I did this with unwavering faith, trusting that the universe would bring my desires into form. The key was not in the action itself, but in the belief, in the feeling. When I believed it to be true, when I felt the victory in my soul, the external world had no choice but to obey. I never wavered, I never doubted, for I knew the power of my mind, and I trusted it completely. Time and time again, the lottery became a tool, a medium through which my inner knowing and assumption played out. I didn't need to know how. I simply knew that it was done, that the end result was already mine. When you truly know that you have already received, when you live in the feeling of having what you desire, that is when you begin to see the magic unfold. The more I affirmed my success, the more I felt myself living in the reality of my winnings, the more the external world rearranged itself to match that belief. It was not the numbers on the ticket that made me rich. It was the belief in my mind, the assumption that I was always a winner. The power was never outside of me, it was within me, waiting to be tapped into, to be embraced. And now, here I stand, 5 times a winner, and I know that this is only the beginning. The power of my imagination has proven itself to me again and again. And if it has worked for me, it will work for anyone who dares to believe in their own power, who dares to claim what is rightfully theirs. You too can step into this same reality, for the power to create is within you. The power of imagination shapes reality. Imagination is not a mere fantasy or daydream, but the creative force behind all that we experience. It is through imagination that we shape the world around us, and it is this faculty that gives us the ability to transform our lives. The world you see today, the conditions in which you live, the circumstances you face, all stem from what you have imagined in the past. Everything begins in the mind, and it is through the power of imagination that we mold our futures. When I say imagination, I do not mean the simple act of wishing for something. Imagination, in its truest form, is the ability to see and feel a desired outcome with such intensity that it becomes your reality. It is not just visualizing the end result, but living it, feeling it, embodying it. The power lies not in a fleeting thought, but in the sustained, focused attention to the image, the idea, or the feeling of the thing you wish to create. The moment you begin to accept and believe in the images that appear in your mind, you begin to shape your reality. Imagination is an invisible force, but it is one of the most potent energies available to us. It shapes the course of our lives by impressing upon the subconscious mind the truth of what we believe. The subconscious does not question whether the thoughts are real or imagined. It simply accepts them as truth. Once the subconscious mind is saturated with the image of success, wealth, or anything else you desire, the outer world begins to reflect this truth in its own time and space. This is why it is critical to consistently imagine your desires. If you hold a thought long enough, it impresses itself upon the subconscious, and then the universe must respond. It may not happen immediately, but just as a seed must be nurtured before it sprouts, so must your imagination be given time to work its magic. Every moment that you give attention to the mental image of success, to the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are planting another seed. The second key point is that belief and assumption create inevitable outcomes. Your beliefs are the cornerstone of your reality. What you believe to be true will eventually become true in your experience. Your assumption about yourself, your life, your circumstances, has the power to manifest as your reality. It is not just about hoping for something. It is about knowing that what you have assumed will come to pass. When I won the lottery, it was not by chance, nor was it through wishful thinking. I had already assumed that I was a winner. I had believed it with all my being. This assumption was so ingrained in me that it became my truth. I walked through life with the assumption that money and abundance were already mine. This assumption was not something I doubted. It was an unshakable belief, and because I held this belief without question, the world had no choice but to manifest it. The power of assumption lies in its ability to influence your actions, your decisions, and your perception of reality. When you assume something to be true, it will begin to affect everything you do. For example, if you assume that you will win, that assumption will shape how you respond to opportunities, how you approach challenges, and how you interact with the world. You will take actions as though winning is inevitable, and that belief will steer you toward the right decisions and actions that will lead to the desired outcome. The belief is not just a passive thought. It is a force that actively shapes your actions. You do not need to see the path before you clearly laid out. You only need to trust that the path exists and that the universe will bring it to you. This is the power of assumption. When you assume success, you begin to embody it in every aspect of your life. You no longer question if you will succeed, because in your mind it is already done. The outcome has already been decided, and now all that remains is for you to walk the path that your belief has laid out for you. Your assumptions, like your beliefs, do not need to be based on external evidence. The external world will always try to tell you that things are not possible, that success is reserved for others, that wealth is something you have to work hard for. But when you base your life on assumption and belief, you transcend the limitations of external circumstances. You do not wait for the evidence to appear first. You assume it, and then the evidence must come. This is the law of assumption. What you believe and assume about yourself, your life, and your future must be reflected in your outer world. The act of assumption is not something that requires force or struggle. It is a natural process that occurs when you align your mind with what you know to be true. When I assumed I would win the lottery, I didn't try to force it to happen. I didn't struggle to make it real. I simply assumed that it was already mine. This assumption created a state of relaxed confidence in me, a sense of knowing that I was in the right place at the right time, with the right thoughts and beliefs to bring about my desired outcome. This is how the power of assumption works. It is not about effort or struggle, but about aligning your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions with the assumption that your desired outcome is already true. And when you do this, when you fully embody the belief that your desire is already fulfilled, the universe has no choice but to manifest that assumption into reality. The combination of imagination and assumption is a powerful force. Imagination allows you to see and feel your desires as though they are already real, while assumption makes it an inevitable outcome. When you consistently imagine your success, feel the joy of having what you want, and assume that it is already yours, the result is the manifestation of your desires. The more you align your beliefs and assumptions with what you desire, the more quickly and easily the external world begins to mirror those beliefs and assumptions. This is the secret to creating the life you want. It is not about hoping or wishing, but about knowing, assuming, and feeling that what you desire is already yours. And when you do this, you will find that the world begins to unfold in ways that align with your assumptions, bringing your imagined desires into physical reality. The external world reflects your inner world. This is one of the most profound truths that I have come to understand and embrace in my journey toward success. The world around us, the events we experience, the circumstances that unfold, all of them are a mirror reflecting back to us the beliefs, thoughts, and emotions we hold deep within. The outer world does not create the inner world, rather it is the inner world, the world of the mind, the imagination, and the subconscious, that creates the outer world. It is so easy to think that the things that happen to us in life are random, or that they are purely the result of chance. However, when we understand the relationship between the inner and outer worlds, we begin to realize that what we experience externally is the result of what we have internally believed to be true. Our assumptions, beliefs, and the images we entertain in our minds are projected onto the world around us, shaping our experiences in ways we may not even be conscious of. When you change your internal world, when you alter your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions, the outer world must change as well. This is why I was able to win the lottery 5 times, not through random luck or external circumstances, but through a deep understanding of the connection between my inner world and the results I experience. I imagined myself as a winner, I assumed that I would win, and the world reflected that assumption back to me. The key here is the understanding that nothing happens by accident. Everything, no matter how small, is a direct result of the images and assumptions we hold in our minds. If you want to change your life, if you want to experience a different reality, you must start with your inner world. It all begins with your thoughts. Every thought you have sends out a vibration into the universe, and this vibration attracts circumstances that match it. If you constantly think of lack, limitation, or fear, you will attract situations that reflect those beliefs. But if you fill your mind with thoughts of abundance, success, and possibility, the world will start to reflect that. The people you meet, the opportunities that come your way, and the outcomes you experience will all align with the beliefs you hold. The external world is simply a reflection of your consciousness, a mirror that shows you what you believe to be true about yourself, about life, and about the world. When you change your beliefs, you change the mirror. This is why self-awareness and self-reflection are so powerful. The moment you become aware of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions that you are holding, you can begin to change them. And when you change them, your external reality must change as well. Feeling the desired outcome is key to manifestation. Many people make the mistake of thinking that manifesting their desires is about simply thinking about them or visualizing them. But the truth is that the feeling of having what you want is what accelerates the manifestation process. Feeling is the energy that drives creation. It is not enough to just see the end result in your mind. You must also feel it as though it is already happening in the present moment. When you align your feelings with your desires, you tap into the very essence of creation itself. The universe responds to the energy you send out. Thoughts alone are not enough. It is the feeling behind those thoughts that carries the energy needed to bring about change. When you feel the emotion of success, for example, you are vibrating at the frequency of success. When you feel the joy of winning, you are resonating with the frequency of victory. And because the universe responds to frequency, when you match the feeling of your desire, the universe has no choice but to bring it into your experience. Feeling is the key to unlocking the power of imagination. Imagination is not just a mental exercise, it is an emotional experience. When you imagine your success, your wealth, or any other desire, it must be accompanied by the feeling of already having it. This feeling is what draws the physical manifestation toward you. The moment you begin to feel the joy, the excitement, the relief, or any other emotion that you would feel if your desire were already real, you are activating the creative power within you. I remember vividly how, during each of my lottery wins, I didn't just think about winning, I felt it. I imagined the thrill of holding the winning ticket, the excitement of seeing the numbers match, and the joy of knowing that my life was about to change forever. I felt the weight of the money in my hands, the freedom it would bring, the joy of being able to help others. These emotions were so real to me that they became a part of my everyday. I didn't just imagine winning, I lived it. I felt it in my body, I felt it in my heart, and I felt it in my soul. This is what made the manifestation process so powerful. It wasn't just an idea in my mind, it was a reality in my emotions. When you feel the reality of your desire, when you step into the emotional state of having it, you become a magnet for it. The universe responds to the energy you are emitting, and that energy, when matched with your thoughts and assumptions, pulls your desires into your experience. It's not just about wishing for something to happen. It's about living as though it has already happened. When you feel the joy, the relief, the excitement, or the gratitude for your desires as though they are already here, you are in alignment with them. The feeling of already having your desire is what makes the law of attraction work. It is the emotion that creates the attraction. When you feel that you already possess what you desire, you begin to act as though it is already yours. This creates a powerful magnetic force that draws your desires closer to you. You no longer wait for the world to change first. You change your inner world, and the outer world must follow suit. Feeling is the fuel that propels your manifestations forward. When you combine the power of your thoughts, the clarity of your assumptions, and the intensity of your emotions, you become a powerful creator. The universe cannot resist the energy you emit when you feel the fullness of your desires. And when you consistently match your emotions to the reality you want to create, you will begin to see the results unfold before your eyes. The key is to align your inner world, your thoughts, assumptions, and feelings, with the reality you want to create. When you do this, the external world will reflect your inner state, and the life you desire will become your experience. The power to create is within you. This truth is not a mere platitude or abstract idea, but a fundamental reality of life. The universe operates under a set of universal laws, and one of the most powerful of those laws is the law of creation. This law tells us that we are not passive observers of life, waiting for things to happen to us. Instead, we are active participants, co-creators of our reality. We possess the inherent ability to shape our lives through our thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, and feelings. The power to create is not something that resides outside of us, nor is it something that is granted to a select few. It is within all of us, waiting to be tapped into and harnessed. When I speak of the power to create, I am referring to the ability to consciously shape our experiences. Every person, regardless of their background or circumstances, has the power to create their own reality. This power does not depend on external conditions, nor is it restricted by the limitations of time or space. It is a universal force that is always available to us. The key to unlocking this power lies in recognizing and understanding that our thoughts and feelings are the building blocks of our reality. The mind is a creative force. Our thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions are not mere mental constructs. They are the seeds from which our experiences grow. Everything that exists in our lives today, from our relationships to our financial situation to our health, has been created by the thoughts and beliefs we have held in the past. The world we live in is a reflection of the world within us. This is why it is so important to pay attention to our thoughts and beliefs. When we are able to consciously direct our thoughts toward our desires, when we are able to focus on the end result rather than the obstacles, we activate the creative power within us. The first step in harnessing the power to create is to believe that we have the ability to do so. Too often, people think that they are at the mercy of life, that they are subject to forces beyond their control. But the truth is that we are never helpless. We have the ability to change our thoughts and beliefs at any moment, and when we do, the world around us begins to change. This is the magic of creation. It begins with a simple but powerful shift in perception, realizing that we are not victims of circumstance, but creators of our own reality. One of the most powerful tools we have for creating our reality is our imagination. Imagination is not just a whimsical or fanciful activity. It is a key component of the creative process. Imagination is the ability to form mental images of what we desire, to visualize ourselves living the life we want. But imagination is more than just seeing an image in the mind's eye. It is about feeling that image as though it is already real. The more vividly we can imagine ourselves experiencing our desires, the more power we give to those desires. This is why visualization is such an effective tool for manifestation. It allows us to feel the emotions of having what we want, and it is this feeling that activates the creative process. But imagination alone is not enough. The second component of creation is belief. Belief is the foundation upon which our creative power is built. If we do not believe that we are capable of creating our desires, if we do not believe that we deserve to have what we want, then our imagination will not be effective. Belief is the fuel that powers the imagination. Without belief, our thoughts remain hollow and our desires unattainable. But when we believe with certainty that our desires are possible, when we believe that we are worthy of receiving them, the creative force within us is activated. Belief is not something that comes automatically. It is something that must be cultivated. It requires conscious effort and persistence. There may be doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs that arise along the way, but it is important to remember that belief is a choice. We can choose to believe in our own power, in our ability to create the life we desire. And the more we choose to believe in ourselves, the stronger our belief becomes, and the more easily we can manifest our desires. Assumption is another powerful tool in the creative process. When we assume something to be true, we align ourselves with the reality we want to create. Assumption is the act of accepting something as already being so, even before there is any outward evidence to support it. This is where the true power of creation lies. When we assume that we are successful, wealthy, healthy, or anything else we desire, we begin to act in ways that align with that assumption. Our thoughts, our actions, and our beliefs all begin to reflect the assumption that what we desire is already true. Assumption is not a passive act. It requires active engagement. When we assume something, we do not simply wait for it to happen. We align our thoughts, words, and actions with that assumption. For example, if we assume that we are successful, we begin to think and act as though success is inevitable. We make decisions with confidence, we take risks without fear, and we approach every situation with the belief that success is already ours. This assumption becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because we are acting in alignment with our assumption, the universe responds by bringing us the circumstances, people, and opportunities that match our belief. The final element in the creative process is feeling. Feeling is the energy that propels creation forward. It is not enough to simply think about our desires. We must feel them as though they are already real. Feeling is the bridge between the inner and outer worlds. It is the emotional energy that activates the law of attraction and draws our desires to us. The more deeply we feel the emotions associated with our desires, whether it is joy, excitement, gratitude, or love, the more quickly and easily they will manifest. Feeling is the most powerful form of creation because it taps into the vibrational frequency of the universe. Everything in the universe vibrates at a certain frequency, including our thoughts and emotions. When we feel the emotions of already having what we desire, we match the frequency of that desire, and the universe responds by bringing it into our experience. This is why it is so important to cultivate positive emotions and to focus on the feelings we want to experience, rather than the lack or absence of those feelings. The power to create is within you. It is not something that you need to search for or try to find. It is always present, waiting for you to recognize and use it. By consciously directing your thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, and feelings, you activate the creative force within you. You have the ability to shape your reality, to create the life you desire, and to manifest your dreams. The power is within you, and when you recognize it, you will begin to see the world around you transform in ways that reflect your inner power. In conclusion, the power to create the life you desire lies entirely within you. It is not something that you need to seek externally, nor is it reserved for a select few. Every thought, belief, assumption, and feeling you hold has the potential to shape your reality. When you understand that your inner world governs the outer world, and when you embrace the creative power that resides within you, you unlock the ability to transform your life. Through the conscious use of your imagination, belief, assumption, and the feelings of already having your desires, you align yourself with the natural forces of creation. The universe responds to your inner state, bringing forth experiences that mirror the power you've harnessed within. Trust in your ability to create. Believe in the certainty of your desires. Feel the joy of already having them, and watch as the world bends to reflect your truth. The power to create is always with you. Claim it, and watch as your dreams unfold before you. Close your eyes just for a moment and feel the world within you, not the world that shouts and demands outside, but the quiet world inside the world that listens, the world that knows. It is there that all things are born. It is there that the seed of desire finds its root, and it is there, in the silence, that you begin to live from the end. To live as if your wish is fulfilled is not to pretend. It is not performance. It is not fantasy. It is creation. It is assuming the position of the one who already is, already has, already knows. You do not wish for what you are. You do not crave what you have. You simply rest in the knowing that it is done. The state of fulfillment is a state of being. Enter it, occupy it, dwell in it. Every desire, every longing is the voice of your higher self whispering of a reality already waiting. You do not chase after it. You do not beg the world to agree. You agree with yourself. You become one with your ideal. You clothe yourself in the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it fits like skin. And when it fits, the outer must conform. All things are drawn to their image, as within, so without. So you change your inner speech. You change the conversations you have with yourself. You stop asking when and start feeling now. You walk in your home as the one who already received the promotion. You fall asleep as the one already healed. You move through life as the one already chosen, already loved, already elevated. And in time, or rather, outside of time, the shadows take shape and the unseen becomes seen. You must abandon the question of how. Let that belong to the unseen hand. Your task is not to engineer, but to embody. You are not the maker of the seeds unfolding, you are the sower. Plant the seed in imagination. Water it with feeling, and refuse to dig it up with doubt. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. Remain loyal. When fear knocks, you answer with inner conviction. When the facts contradict, you do not flinch, because facts are only the echo of past belief. You are planting a new cause. The fruit must come. The harvest must appear. What you accept as true in imagination becomes your world. So, you persist not with effort, but with assumption. You persist by being. You persist by knowing. Sleep tonight as the one who already is. Think from it, feel from it, react from it. The old man must fade away. The new self must rise, and you not someday, but now you are that which you have imagined. The secret is not in striving. The secret is in assuming. You walk through this world believing yourself to be subject to its laws, its circumstances, its limitations. But the world you see is not solid truth. It is reflection, response, reaction. It is the shadow cast by the light of your consciousness. You do not change the mirror by scratching at the glass, you change what is reflected by altering what stands before it. Your world is your mirror, and your assumption is the face it reflects. So you begin within. You begin by stepping into the invisible, not with doubt, not with hope, but with the quiet certainty of one who knows that imagining creates reality, that the world rearranges itself to make room for the man or woman who dares to claim their desire as already true. You do not imagine to escape, you imagine to create. You enter the scene of fulfillment as if by invitation, and you do not knock, you do not ask permission. You walk in and sit down. What does it feel like to have it now? That is the question. That is the doorway. The feeling is the secret, and you must become familiar with that feeling until it is no longer foreign, until it becomes your new home. You must lose the taste for lack. You must grow weary of waiting. You must stop entertaining what is not aligned with what you have chosen. You no longer speak as someone on the outside of their dream. You speak from within the center of it, and yes, the senses will scream. The facts will parade themselves in front of you, shouting that nothing has changed. But the one who knows, the one who walks by faith and not by sight, does not bow to appearances. You must become deaf to the noise of contradiction. You must become blind to the old echoes. The eyes of the inner man are more powerful than the eyes of the outer. It is what you see in the inner world and feel with certainty that must take form in time. Every time you return to the old state, the state of waiting, of longing, of asking, you delay the manifestation, not because it is being withheld, but because you are denying yourself its experience. The universe withholds nothing. It simply delivers what you assume, and assumption is not begging. Assumption is ownership. When you assume you are already the one you desire to be, life must conform. Not because of effort, but because of law. The law is impersonal. It does not respond to need, but to belief. You are not being tested. You are being trained to believe more in the invisible than the visible. Trained to align your inner speech with your inner vision. Trained to drop every doubt, every delay, and stand in the end as if it were the beginning. You are the operant power. What you accept as true becomes the mold into which reality is poured. Do not wait for evidence to believe. Believe, and the evidence will follow. You do not live from circumstance, you live from state. The state you occupy is the soil in which your world grows. If you do not like what you see, you do not curse the garden, you change the seed. You shift the state, you step into the feeling of having, being, knowing. You do not struggle to get there, you relax into it, you breathe into it, you allow the feeling of the wish fulfilled to become your resting place. And what is a state? It is not effort. It is not repetition for repetition's sake. It is not saying the right words to get the right outcome. A state is a feeling, a mood, an inner atmosphere. It is how you carry yourself when no one is watching. It is what you assume when you are still. You could say all the right things aloud and yet live in the state of fear. Or you could say nothing at all and walk in the peace of fulfilled desire. The state is what matters. The state is what creates. Persist, not with force, not with anxiety, but with identity. Keep returning to the state. Keep dwelling there, not as visitor, but as resident. When the thought comes that nothing is happening, you respond not with panic, but with inner assurance. It is already done. When the emotion rises that says it is too far off, you do not indulge it. You remain rooted in the truth that what is felt as true in imagination must externalize. That is the eternal law. You are not waiting on the world. The world is waiting on you, waiting for you to become so saturated with your fulfilled desire that it can do nothing else but yield. Life is plastic to the touch of imagination. It has no choice but to mirror what you dare to embody. So walk differently, speak differently, sit differently, be aware of how you carry yourself, for every gesture, every tone, every thought is a declaration of what you believe to be real. Do not worry about time. Time is not your master. Time bends to the assumption held in imagination. You are not racing the clock. You are collapsing time through belief. The moment you assume it, you enter into the finished state, and in that moment you have left behind the old self. The one who wanted, who waited, who wondered, that version no longer exists. There is only this new self, and it is fulfilled, it is complete, it is unshakable. If doubts arise, and they will, you do not fight them with force. You dissolve them with truth. You remind yourself that you are not hoping, you are knowing. That imagination is not idle, it is causative. You do not need proof. You are the proof. You are the living testimony of the unseen becoming seen. You carry the kingdom within. All that you seek is already yours, not in some future moment, but here now, in the realm of your inner knowing. It is not about being worthy. It is not about being ready. It is about being willing to drop the mask of limitation, willing to stop rehearsing what is not wanted, willing to let go of being a seeker and begin being a finder. The one who finds is the one who assumed they already had. Do not ask for the promise, accept it, take it, walk in it. Let your life reflect the fullness of your inner conviction. You are the seed of every reality you will ever experience. There is no external power. There is no one else deciding your fate. You are the dreamer and the dream. You are the potter and the clay. Shape your world by shaping your assumption. If you would change your world, you must first change your concept of self. Who are you when your wish is fulfilled? That is the only question worth answering. That is the only place worth living from. Let others doubt, let others question. You do not owe your vision to anyone. You walk silently, invisibly, powerfully. You walk not in arrogance, but in authority. You do not explain, you embody. An embodiment is silent power. Embodiment speaks without words. When you become it inwardly, you become magnetic to the outer reflection. You become the center from which all things move. The world shifts to accommodate the new you, not because it was forced, but because it must. You sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You rise in the atmosphere of it. You make it your new normal. You give thanks not because something might come, but because it already has. Gratitude is the echo of fulfillment. You give thanks because it is finished. And every day you move in that awareness, not as a student, not as a seeker, but as a knower. One who has seen the end and now walks through the unfolding with patience and poise. You do not need to convince the world. You only need to convince yourself. And once you do, the world has no choice. It will bend, it will yield, it will mirror what you have become. For the outer world is nothing more than a delayed announcement of your inner conviction. Keep your gaze inward, keep your attention fixed. Let every assumption be a step into your desired state. Let every thought be filtered through the lens of the wish fulfilled. You are not a beggar, you are not a victim, you are not separate from what you seek. You are one with it, and once you know this, once you feel it with every breath, then there is nothing left to wait for. There is only being, and in that being, in that stillness, in that deep knowing, the whole world must rise to meet you there. Remain here, remain in this stillness. Let the truth of your fulfilled desire saturate your awareness so deeply that you forget the old way of thinking, the old way of seeing. Let the version of you that waited, wished, and wondered fall away like a garment outgrown. You have moved into a new state, the state where the desire is not something distant, but something possessed, experienced, lived. In this state, you no longer ask if you only affirm it is. This is not fantasy. It is not denial of what is. It is the highest form of agreement with the unseen reality that calls to you from within. You do not deny the world, you transcend it. You do not argue with appearances. You outgrow them. You outgrow fear by stepping into confidence. You outgrow lack by abiding in abundance. You outgrow separation by knowing oneness. The outer world adjusts to your new height, the way water adjusts to the shape of its vessel. Change the vessel, and the water takes new form. Speak less about what you want and more about what already is. Not with your lips alone, but with your inner voice, the silent speech that shapes your world. It is not enough to momentarily entertain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live in it, breathe in it, eat and drink in it. Let it be your default, your dwelling place. Not something you visit in moments of meditation, but something you carry throughout your day like a secret fire that warms you even when the world around you seems cold. You do not create by fighting the old. You create by assuming the new. The old fades because it is no longer fed. It dissolves from disuse. The moment you stop identifying with it, it loses power over you. The past only persists when you repeat its emotions. When you drop them, you break its cycle. The world around you is elastic. It responds to your inner state, and it bends to your new identification. When you say, "I am," the universe listens, and what you attach to that sacred phrase becomes law. Do not seek permission from the world to change. Do not wait for signs to believe. Signs follow, they do not precede. The feeling comes first, the awareness, the assumption. These are the roots. What springs forth in your outer life is simply the fruit. And if the fruit does not match the seed you've sown, you do not curse the tree. You plant again. You plant with more precision. You plant with unwavering faith that the soil of consciousness does not fail to yield what is truly sown. You do not need to visualize with perfect images. You only need to feel with perfect conviction. If you cannot see the entire picture, see the one moment that captures the essence. The handshake of congratulations, the keys in your hand, the ring on your finger, the smile of recognition, one scene that implies all is done. Enter that scene not as an outsider, but as a participant. See from it, not toward it. Feel the tones, the textures, the weight of fulfillment. Imagination, when fused with emotion, becomes creation. You do not need to try, you need to trust. Trust not in effort, but in alignment. Trust not in the logic of the world, but in the law of assumption. You become what you assume yourself to be, not what you hope, not what you admire, but what you claim. This claiming is not arrogance. It is authority. It is spiritual ownership. It is divine agreement. You are not asking for something to be done. You are stepping into the state where it already is. You are not made small by this process. You are made whole. You are not escaping reality. You are shaping it from a higher level. You are not manipulating the world. You are aligning with truth. The truth is that all creation is finished, that all possibilities exist, that you are the chooser, the selector, the one who navigates the infinite with the compass of feeling. And when your feeling becomes fixed, so too does your reality. Let each day begin with remembrance. Before you move, remember who you are. Remember what you've chosen. Remember the state you now dwell in. Let your first breath of the morning be one of alignment. As you rise from your bed, rise also in consciousness. Carry the feeling of fulfillment as a sacred charge. Let it color your words, your movements, your interactions. Not because you are performing, but because you have truly become. The one who has not the one who hopes. The world does not need convincing. It needs your conviction. It does not need your struggle. It needs your stillness. Stillness is power. In stillness, you commune with the unseen, and what you commune with becomes flesh. You must become so saturated with your inner reality that the outer becomes irrelevant, not because you don't care, but because you know it will match. You know it must. You know the world cannot help but echo the tone of your dominant inner assumption. When the outer world delays, you do not panic. You deepen your assumption. You rest in it even more fully. You let time do what it will, for time is your servant now. You live in the end, and all else must rearrange. Doors must open, people must appear, circumstances must shift, not because you demanded it, but because you assumed it, and assumption is causation. The cause of every change is a change in self-concept. You are not becoming something new. You are awakening to what has always been yours. You may be tempted to check, to look for proof, to search for signs, but you must resist that urge. You do not check on a seed once planted. You trust the process. you protect the feeling, you keep your inner atmosphere clear and faithful, and as you persist, the law works silently, faithfully, unerringly. Suddenly, what you once imagined becomes memory. What you once believed in silence becomes shouted aloud in praise. What you once held in the secret of your heart becomes the testimony of your life. You are the temple of the living God, and the living God is imagination. He waits only for your agreement, your embrace of the finished work. Your world will not move until you move inwardly. Your world will not change until you change what you accept as true. Accept more. Expect more, not from a place of greed, but from the awareness that you are not limited. Your potential is as vast as your willingness to believe. The limit is never the world, the limit is always the assumption. You need not explain yourself. You need not defend the new identity you've chosen. Others may not see it yet. That's all right. They are still looking at the version of you shaped by your past assumptions. But you have moved. You have stepped into a new frame, and soon they will see the evidence. They will not understand how, but they will see it. They will witness the unfolding of a life transformed not by effort, but by embodiment. You will walk among the same people in the same world, but with a different spirit, and the difference will be undeniable. Every time doubt whispers, return to the feeling. Every time delay frustrates, return to the end. Every time fear arises, remind yourself, it is done, not someday, now, and in that now. You are free, free from the past, free from the waiting, free from the need to justify your joy. You are free because you chose to be. You are free because you dared to assume. Let every act become sacred by the spirit in which you do it. Let your walk be confident, your speech be sure, your gaze be fixed, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. You know the end and you live from it, and as you continue, the world you once wished for becomes the world you now inhabit. You wake up one morning and realize you are it. You are the one you imagine. The wish and the wisher are one. The assumption has become flesh. The inner has birthed the outer. The dream has awakened into life. You are the creator of your world. You are not a mere participant. You are the artist, the sculptor, the architect. The moment you understand this, everything begins to shift. You stop waiting for things to happen to you and start creating the conditions for them to unfold as you have already imagined. The key is not to fight with the circumstances, not to wrestle with the outer world, but to change what you believe about yourself, what you feel about yourself, and how you identify with your deepest desires. It is so easy to get caught up in the drama of the world in the news, in the opinions of others, in the flood of distractions that seem to come from every angle. But the one who knows that the wish is already fulfilled stands above it all. They understand that none of this noise has any power over them unless they give it power. The power lies in the inner world. The inner world is where everything begins. And when you truly understand this, you do not react to the outer world, you create from within. Everything you see in the physical world, everything you experience, is a reflection of your inner state. The outer world does not dictate what you will experience, you do. And when you change the way you think, feel, and believe, the outer world has no choice but to align itself with that change. You do not have to change the circumstances to get what you want. You only need to change your assumption about those circumstances, your inner feeling about the situation, and the outer world must reflect that change. It is not about fighting against the world you see, but rather about assuming the world you desire. Imagine it, feel it, assume that it is already yours. Do not wait for external validation, and do not look for confirmation from the physical world. It will come, but it will come from your assumption, not from effort, not from manipulation, not from struggle. It will come because you have already decided it is done. What you believe to be true is true for you, and what you believe is true shapes your life. The moment you change your belief, everything around you begins to change. This is the secret of the law of assumption. You change your inner world, and the outer world must conform to it. It must. This is the immutable law of the universe. The world is malleable, responsive to the one who knows how to use the power of imagination. You do not need to beg for your desires to manifest. You need only to assume that they already have, imagine them, feel them, enter into the consciousness of already having, already being, already doing. When you do this, you enter into the state of the wish fulfilled. And when you live in that state, you become it. When you become it, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match the assumption of that state. The power is not in the doing, the power is in the being. You are not working towards something, you are being it now. You are not trying to create a new reality, you are simply aligning yourself with the reality that already exists in your imagination. And the moment you align, the world shifts. The moment you accept, the manifestation begins. This is not a matter of positive thinking, although positive thinking can be helpful. It is a matter of assuming the state of being that you desire to be. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not just a thought. It is a living, breathing energy that you carry within you. And when you embody this feeling, when you walk in it, when you speak from it, when you make decisions from it, the world must conform to the energy you are radiating. The most powerful thing you can do is to occupy the state of your wish fulfilled. And the most powerful thing you can give yourself is the feeling that it is already yours. This is the secret. The more you feel that it is already done, the more the world will reflect that certainty back to you. The more you live from the place of already having, the more the external world will line up to make that assumption true. Stop looking for signs. Stop looking for evidence. Evidence will follow the assumption. The outer world will reflect the inner world. When you begin to live from the end, from the knowing that what you desire is already yours, the outer world must shift to match that vibration. There is no question about it. There is no negotiation. The law of assumption works every time. Your desires are not arbitrary. They are a reflection of the potential already present within you. The desire you hold is a seed planted by your higher self, a calling to step into your fullest expression. And when you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you step into that expression. You become the person who already has it, and in doing so, the world must match you. The world must reflect that assumption. This is the law, and it is an eternal truth. When you walk in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, the world begins to respond to you as though you are already the person you wish to be. The doors open. The opportunities come. The people align. The money flows. The healing happens. Everything begins to line up. Not because you worked harder, not because you tried to force the world into place, but because you assumed it was already done. You assumed it with certainty, and because you assumed it, the world had no choice but to bring it into being. There is nothing you need to do other than assume. The universe works on your behalf when you assume the state of having. The key is to embody the feeling of already having it, already being it, already doing it. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. It becomes your state of being. And once it becomes your state of being, the world must reflect that state. It is not a question of if it will happen, but a question of when. And the moment you assume it is already done, it begins to unfold. This is not a waiting game. This is not about hoping for something to happen in the future. This is about living as if it is already yours. The moment you live as if it is already yours, the moment you believe it, the moment you embody it, the world begins to reflect that reality. It cannot do anything else. The world has no choice but to conform to your assumption. The outer world is not fixed. It is fluid. It is responsive. It responds to your inner state, your inner feeling, your inner belief. So, do not wait. Do not delay. Assume that it is already done. Assume that you are already the person you desire to be. Assume that everything you want is already yours. When you do this, you enter into the flow of life. You enter into the state of fulfillment, and from that state, everything unfolds. You will not have to force anything. You will not have to make things happen. They will simply happen because you have already assumed that they will. When you assume that it is already done, the world shifts to make it so. And in doing so, you become the person who has what you desire. You become the person who is living the life you've always dreamed of, the life you have imagined, the life you have felt deep inside you. It is already yours, it is already done. And once you accept that, once you believe that with every fiber of your being, everything in your world will begin to reflect that truth. You will see it, you will experience it, you will live it, and the world will know that you are the one who assumed it into being. When you truly understand this, a quiet power begins to rise within you. You stop being a passive observer of life and become an active creator, a deliberate architect of your own experience. You cease to be at the mercy of circumstances, for you now know that circumstances are not the cause of your reality, they are the effect of your beliefs. When you change your beliefs, the circumstances must change. It's a simple, unbreakable law, and it always works. But only when you assume the state of having, not when you wait for it to appear. In the moment you claim your desire as already fulfilled, you become untouchable by the forces of doubt or limitation. Fear loses its grip on you because you have aligned yourself with a higher truth. The truth that everything you need is already within you. The truth that you already possess everything that has been placed in your heart. It has always been yours. You need only to claim it with unwavering certainty. The more you live in the state of fulfillment, the more you will see this reflected back to you in your outer world. People will begin to treat you as though you are the person you have assumed yourself to be. Opportunities will open up, paths will appear. The things that once seemed impossible will begin to flow into your life with ease. It will no longer feel like a struggle, for you have ceased to struggle. You have embraced the truth that the universe is already moving in your favor. All you must do is stay aligned with it, remain in the state of having, and trust that it is done. At first, you may notice subtle shifts. Maybe a small opportunity presents itself, or a conversation leads to a new connection. These are the first signs, the beginning of the manifestation, but do not mistake the small for insignificant. Even the smallest sign is proof that the law is working. The universe responds to your assumption, and it begins to take shape in the most unexpected ways. There is no limit to how it will come. The key is to remain in the assumption, to continue to live as if your wish is already fulfilled. This is not about effort. It is about alignment. Effort implies struggle. Alignment implies ease. And when you are aligned with the state of the wish fulfilled, you no longer push against the current of life. You flow with it. You become one with the flow. You stop working hard and start allowing, receiving, and living in the truth of what is already yours. This is the essence of grace, the effortless knowing that all things are coming to you in perfect time and perfect order. One of the most powerful practices you can adopt is to become the living embodiment of your desire. Walk through your day as though you are already that person. Speak as though you already have what you want. Move with the confidence and assurance of one who is certain of the end result. You must be this person now, in every thought, in every word, in every action. The more you live as the person you've assumed yourself to be, the more the outer world will reflect that assumption. Do not let the outer world dictate how you feel. Do not allow the evidence of lack or delay to sway you from your knowing. The world will test you. It will show you the opposite of what you have assumed. But this is not a challenge to your belief. It is merely a momentary reflection of the old self, the old assumptions, the old beliefs. The key is to persist, to keep assuming, to keep feeling that your wish is already fulfilled. You must stand firm in your conviction, even when the outer world seems to say otherwise. The moment you give in to doubt, the moment you let the outer world convince you that your wish is not yet fulfilled, you begin to weaken your assumption. But the moment you persist, the moment you continue to live in the end, you strengthen the force of your desire. It is the persistence of belief, the consistency of your assumption, that brings about the physical manifestation. And when you stand firm, the outer world has no choice but to align with your inner state. But do not make the mistake of thinking that persistence means effort. Persistence in this context is not about trying harder or working more. It is about remaining true to the assumption. It is about not allowing any distraction or appearance to shake your belief in the wish fulfilled. You must become unwavering in your assumption, as though it is already a fact. The world will catch up to you, but you must hold the line. And as you do, you will notice that the world begins to shift. The people in your life begin to respond differently, and opportunities unfold in ways that were previously unimaginable. This is the nature of the law. It is subtle, but it is unyielding. It works even when you are unaware of it. It operates in the background, rearranging the elements of your life to bring your assumption into form. Your task is simply to maintain the state of the wish fulfilled, live in it, feel it, and the world will move to bring it to you. Over time, you will begin to see how deeply your life reflects your inner beliefs. It is a natural law that cannot be escaped. You cannot remain in a state of lack and expect abundance. You cannot live in a state of doubt and expect certainty. What you assume in your mind, what you believe in your heart, must become your reality. And when you truly understand this, your life will change in ways that seem miraculous. The process is simple. The key is to embody the state of already having. Assume it is done. Speak as though it is done. Feel as though it is done. Walk in that knowing with confidence and assurance. This is the secret to manifestation. The more you live in the end, the more the end must unfold. There is no mystery to it. There is no magic. There is only the law of assumption, and it works every time. In the beginning, you may find that the outer world does not immediately reflect your assumption. This is where many people give up. They begin to doubt the process because they cannot yet see the manifestation in the physical world. But this is the moment of greatest opportunity. This is the moment when your faith is being tested. This is the moment when you must persist. You must continue to live in the end, even when it feels like the world is showing you the opposite. You must remain faithful to the assumption that your wish is already fulfilled, and in time, the outer world will catch up. Trust the process. Trust that it is already done. Trust that your desires are already on their way to you, and that they will come in perfect form and perfect timing. The world is always responding to your inner state. When you change your state, the world must respond. It cannot do anything else. This is the law, and it works every time. As you persist, you will notice that the world around you begins to shift. What once seemed impossible will become possible. The opportunities you once thought were out of reach will now seem to come to you effortlessly. The people who once ignored you will begin to notice you. The doors that once seemed closed will swing wide open. This is the power of your assumption, the power of living in the end, the power of assuming that your wish is already fulfilled. The more you live from the end, the more the world will reflect that assumption back to you. And in time, the physical manifestation will arrive. It may come in ways you did not expect, but it will come. It always does. The law of assumption is as reliable as the rising of the sun. It never fails. And when you understand that the world is merely responding to the inner reality you have created, you will understand that you are the creator of your life. You are the artist of your reality. You are the one who decides what your world will be. And when you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, the world has no choice but to align with that assumption. It is done. The moment you assume it is done, and everything in your life will begin to reflect that truth. You are the creator. You are the one who shapes your world. And the law of assumption will always bring your desires into form. As you continue to live from the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, you begin to realize that there is nothing outside of you, that can dictate your experience. The outer world is merely a reflection of what you believe, and when you change your beliefs, the reflection must change as well. This is the secret to living a life of true freedom and power. You do not need to seek approval from others, nor do you need to wait for permission from the world. You are the one who holds the key. You are the one who decides what your experience will be. And once you realize that, once you embody that truth with every fiber of your being, the world has no choice but to respond to you. This is where the power truly lies, in the assumption. When you assume the state of having, when you feel it deeply within you, when you step into the energy of already possessing what you desire, the outer world must align. This is not a matter of time or effort, it is a matter of vibration. You are not waiting for the world to change, you are aligning with the vibration of what you already want. And when you align with that vibration, everything must fall into place. It's important to note that this process is not about forcing the world to conform to your desires. It is about aligning yourself with the reality you want to experience. The moment you stop trying to change the world and instead focus on changing your internal state, you free yourself from struggle. You step into a flow that brings everything to you effortlessly. You stop needing to control the how, and instead, you trust that the universe will bring the right people, the right circumstances, and the right opportunities to you in perfect timing. The secret lies in your assumption, not in the circumstances, not in the physical evidence. It's easy to look at what's around you and judge the validity of your assumption based on what you see. But the reality is, the physical world is always lagging behind the inner world. It's a reflection, not the cause. So, if you look to the world for confirmation before you make the assumption, you're reversing the process. The assumption must come first. It's the starting point. It's the belief that your wish is already fulfilled. And from there, the outer world must shift. In this space of assumption, there is no room for doubt, no room for questioning. Doubt is the only thing that can keep you from seeing your desires come to fruition. When you live in doubt, you are living in a state of lack. And when you live in a state of lack, that's what the world reflects back to you. But when you choose to live in the fullness of your assumption, when you refuse to allow doubt to have any place in your mind, the world must reflect the fullness of that assumption. It's also vital to understand that this process is not about constant thinking or forcing thoughts. It's about the feeling state. When you embody the feeling of having, when you feel what it's like to already be the person who has what you desire, you enter into a higher vibration. This feeling is the creative force that shapes your reality. It is not about thinking about what you want constantly. It's about feeling the deep knowing that it is already yours now. This feeling state is more powerful than any effort you could ever make. The more you can embody the feeling of already having, the more the universe moves to bring your desires to fruition. And because this law is so reliable, the world will always conform to that inner reality. It cannot do anything else. This is the immutable law of the universe. Your inner assumption is the seed, and the outer world is the garden that must bring it to life. There will be moments of challenge, moments when the external world does not seem to reflect your assumption. But these are not moments to give up. These are simply opportunities to deepen your trust in the process. These are the moments when your faith is tested, and the key is to persist. You must persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, no matter what the world around you may be showing. The world is not the judge of your assumption, your belief is. When you continue to live as though your wish is already fulfilled, when you continue to feel the deep satisfaction and joy of already having it, the world must eventually catch up to you. It may take time for things to shift, but rest assured, shift they will. The law works, the universe does not fail, and when you persist in living from the end, when you hold to the assumption with certainty, the world will have no choice but to bring your desires into form. The beauty of this process is that you are not trying to manipulate the outer world. You are simply shifting your inner world, your perception, your belief. And when you shift that, everything around you must change. It's a natural law. The world will reflect your inner state, and this is the power you hold. It's not about control, it's about alignment. You align yourself with the state of your wish fulfilled, and the world must bring that state into physical reality. What you must understand is that everything you need is already within you. Your desires are not external to you. They are already a part of who you are, a part of your essence. The moment you recognize that your desire is already yours, you free yourself from the need to chase it. You no longer need to work hard or strive to attain it. You simply need to embody the truth that it is already yours. And once you do that, the world has no choice but to bring it into being. This process does not require struggle or hardship. It requires faith. It requires the ability to trust that the universe will always respond to your assumption. When you step into the feeling of already having, you allow the universe to work on your behalf. You stop working against the flow of life and instead you move with it. You step into the current of your desires, knowing that everything you want is already coming to you, and that all you need to do is align with it. It's also essential to remember that your desire is valid. It is not something that you need to earn or deserve. The law of assumption does not discriminate. It does not decide that one person is more worthy of their desires than another. Your desire is already yours because you have assumed it. The moment you make the assumption, it is done, and the universe works to bring your assumption into form. This is a game of belief and feeling. When you believe that your wish is already fulfilled, when you feel it as though it is already yours, the world has no choice but to reflect that belief. This is the magic of the law of assumption. You change your inner state, and the outer world must change to match it. The world is a mirror. It reflects who you are being on the inside, and the more you live in the state of the wish fulfilled, the more the outer world will reflect that. It is not a matter of waiting for the world to change. It is a matter of you changing your perception, your assumption, your state of being. And when you do that, the world must follow. When you live in the assumption that your wish is already fulfilled, you step into a state of power, a state of creative flow. You are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are no longer at the mercy of time or circumstances. You are living from the end, from the knowing that it is already done. And as you do this, the world will change to reflect that truth. This is the beauty of the law of assumption. It is always working in your favor. It is a universal law that does not discriminate. It responds to your inner state, and when you live in the assumption that your wish is already fulfilled, the world must align with that assumption. It must. There is no other possibility. You are the creator of your experience, and when you assume your desire is already fulfilled, the world will reflect that truth in every way. As you walk through life, remember this. Your reality is not determined by the world around you, but by the beliefs you hold within you. The power to shape your experience lies not in the external, but in the internal, in your assumptions, your feelings, and your unwavering belief that what you desire is already fulfilled. The universe is always responding to your inner state, and when you assume the end result is already yours, the world must reflect that truth. Do not wait for the world to change before you live in the state of fulfillment. Live as if your wish is already realized, and watch as the world aligns itself to match your assumption. Your desires are not out of reach, they are already within you. All you need to do is claim them, live them, and believe in them with every part of your being. The law of assumption is simple, yet profound, and it is always working in your favor. Trust in the process. Trust in your power, and remember, when you assume the wish is fulfilled, it is already done. Live from that knowing, persist in your assumption, and watch as your reality transforms before your eyes. You are the creator of your world, and the moment you live in the end, the world will bring your desires to life. The universe is always working for you, and it will bring your wish fulfilled when you stand firm in the belief that it is already yours. You were never meant to bow to the opinions of the world. You were never created to shrink or to doubt your own power. The moment you were imagined in perfection, not as someone hoping to become great, but as greatness itself, clothed in form. The world will try to tell you who you are. It will whisper limitations. It will present facts and figures, patterns and logic. But those who know their true nature are not moved by appearances. They are not shaken by the outer world, for they command it from within. You do not compete because no one compares. You do not seek validation because you are the standard. You are not waiting to be chosen because you are the chooser. Every scene in your life is your creation. Every delay is your permission. Every victory is your assumption made manifest. You act as the best not because you hope to be. It is because you are and always have been. No one outranks you in your world. No one possesses what you do not have access to. You walk with the knowing that the power which shapes reality is within your very being, and when you imagine, you do not beg, you decree, you declare. You assume with the quiet authority of one who knows that nothing is denied to the one who believes. You are not here to wonder if you're worthy. You are here to remember. You are the power that calls the unseen into form. You are the law, the architect, the source. And when you decide a thing is done, the world bends quietly to your will. So carry yourself as the one who cannot fail, not from pride, but from the truth. When you walk into a room, understand, it is your world they are in. When you speak, the atmosphere responds. When you imagine, the future rewrites itself. You don't chase, you attract. You don't hope, you know. There is no one above you, no one ahead of you, no one who can do what you came here to do. You are it, the first, the finest, the foundation, and the fulfillment. And you move through life not needing permission, not requiring applause, but knowing that all things must obey the voice of the one who knows who they are. You move through this world not as a servant to circumstance, but as its master. You are not reacting, you are initiating. You are not at the mercy of time, of luck, of others' opinions, because you are the only cause in your reality. You do not beg life to bless you. You realize that life has no choice but to follow your assumption. And when you walk with that level of certainty, the very fabric of existence rearranges itself to reflect your inner stance. There is no competition in the mind that knows itself. You do not compare because you are incomparable. You do not look to others to decide what is possible for you. You are not the echo, you are the voice. You are not second to anything or anyone. Everything you touch is touched by power. Everything you imagine is drawn toward you by the unbreakable law of your own being. You are not the effect, you are the cause, and the cause never has to ask permission. The cause simply is. You are that cause. When others wait, you declare. When others wonder, you assume. When others question if they are ready, you step forward as the answer. The power you carry is not loud or desperate. It is still and complete and final. You are not moved by appearances, because appearances are old news. They are echoes of past assumptions. They are not your concern. Your concern is the feeling, the knowing, the inner state from which all things flow. And you hold that state, not with force, but with calm, relentless confidence, because you know the world cannot help but obey the one who walks in truth. You do not need to strive, you do not need to chase. What you assume to be true becomes inevitable. This is your inheritance, this is your secret. Others may call it arrogance, but it is alignment, it is identity. It is dominion, and the one who knows this doesn't need to argue or prove. They simply are, and everything else rearranges accordingly. People show up, opportunities emerge, delays dissolve, doors open. Not because you begged, but because you assumed it was done. You act as the best because you are the best. And this knowing is not about superiority over others. It is about superiority over doubt, over fear, over limitation. It is about transcending the illusion that you are ever less than the fullness of power expressing itself in form. When you rise in this knowing, nothing can stay the same. Your world will mirror you. Your circumstances will reflect you. Your life will reveal the image you hold within. You do not shrink to make others comfortable. You do not hide your light to protect the fragile ego of those who have not yet awakened. You shine, and in shining, you call others to remember that they too are the source. You become the permission they've been waiting for. You become the evidence of what is possible when someone truly knows. There is no need to lower your voice, no need to downplay your gift, no need to dim your certainty. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to stand out, to lead, to embody a frequency that rewrites the rule. You do not explain yourself. You do not overexpress. Your being is the statement. Your presence is the proof. Your life speaks louder than words because it is authored by a consciousness that has claimed its throne. You are not a student of power. You are power remembering itself. And when you remember, you no longer wait for signs, confirmations, or applause. You walk in the end result. You live in the fulfillment. You feel from the place where it is already done. This is not fake it till you make it. This is assume it because you are it. And in that assumption, you collapse time. In that assumption, you bend the laws of probability. In that assumption, you break free from the collective agreement of limitation and enter into the individual realization of limitlessness. This is your game, this is your canvas, this is your masterpiece. And you do not ask the world if it agrees. You show the world what happens when one soul fully claims their divinity. Every cell in your body responds to the thoughts you allow. Every event in your life bends to the story you tell yourself. You are not passive. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for permission to rise. You were born risen, and the moment you choose to remember, the moment you decide, everything begins to move in your favor. Not because you earned it, but because it is law. You become what you believe yourself to be, always without exception. You speak from the end. You move as if the goal is already complete. You do not try to become. You live as if you already are. And this is the secret that separates the awakened from the asleep. While the world wonders how and when, you decide now. You feel now. You live now. Because the moment you fully occupy the state of the one who already has it, the outer world bows. It must, it is law, and you are the lawgiver. You do not need signs to believe. Your belief is the sign. You do not wait for evidence. Your assumption creates it. You do not ask life to show you what's possible. You tell life what is inevitable. You are the best, not by competition, not by comparison, but by alignment. And this is not up for debate. This is not subject to opinion. It is a fact in the world you command. You are not one of many. You are the one, the origin, the beginning, the creative force behind all that you see. You do not move with hesitation. You move with certainty, and in that certainty, doors swing open. In that certainty, obstacles dissolve. In that certainty, time compresses, and the impossible becomes the obvious. You are not trying to become. You are revealing who you've always been. And the moment you own that identity, the moment you embody it fully, everything you once chased begins to chase you. You are the magnetic field. You are the gravitational pull. You are the center point of every miracle waiting to happen. You are the blueprint, the template, the divine design in motion. You do not ask how. You declare it done. You do not ask when. You assume it now. You do not wait for change. You embody change, and the world follows. Let others doubt. Let others worry. Let others measure themselves against the noise. You move in silence and in power. You do not need to prove your greatness. You need only be it. The world responds to who you believe you are. And when you decide that no one is greater, no one is higher, no one is more qualified to receive the fullness of life than you, the universe delivers. You are not here to be small. You are not here to apologize for your gift. You are not here to water down your power. You are here to express the fullness of your design, to stretch the limits of what's possible, to walk as the one who knows. You are the best, and you act like it, not from ego, but from essence, not from pride, but from truth. Your assumption is the portal, your feeling is the key, your identity is the foundation, and when all three align, nothing can be withheld from you. Nothing can delay what is already yours. Nothing can stop the rise of the one who has remembered their origin. You are that origin, you are that rise, and your life, your reality, your every experience will reflect this knowing again and again in ways that leave no room for doubt. So continue, assume boldly, move as if the world is already yours, because it is. Speak as if your word creates reality, because it does. Carry yourself as if no one outranks you, because no one does. The outer world is just your mirror, and the one you see in it now, today, forever, is the best, always was, always will be. You were never made to hope timidly, to tiptoe through life as if it could break you. You were made to command, to stand with such unwavering belief in yourself that the world must bow. This is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. You have no rivals, no equals, because no one else lives in your consciousness. No one else wears your name, breathes your breath, walks in the authority you have over your reality. There is only you, and when you realize this, you stop asking, stop waiting, stop hesitating. You decide, you declare, and you dominate. You do not need a sign from the sky, a special date on the calendar, or an outside voice to validate your readiness. You are the sign, you are the moment, you are the voice that says now. The world is a stage, and the scenes you live are not happening to you. They are arising from you. Every delay, every breakthrough, every pattern in your life, it is not random. It is the reflection of the state you have dared to occupy. So when you decide you are the best, that decision ripples through every corner of your reality, collapsing limitations and revealing pathways you once thought impossible. You do not need to climb to greatness. You descend into it from the heights of your inner vision. You see it first within, you assume it, you feel it as already done, and because you do, the world rearranges itself accordingly. What others call coincidence, you call law. What others call fate, you call choice. You are not subject to the winds of chance. You are the wind itself. You are the fire, the foundation, the fixed point around which everything else moves. You don't need agreement. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone to see it for you, because when you see it for yourself, clearly, boldly, consistently, no one can stop it from unfolding. The outer world doesn't create the inner world. It obeys it, it reflects it. And when you carry yourself as the best, speak as the best, think as the best, then being the best is not an outcome, it's a given, it's a law made flesh. You walk into every space knowing that you are the most powerful presence there. Not because of ego, not because you wish to dominate, but because you have remembered the truth that others have forgotten. You are not just in the image of greatness, you are greatness expressing itself through form, voice, vision, and action. And because you know who you are, the world takes shape around your conviction. The world is always asking, who are you willing to be? And when you answer that question with unwavering identity, when you say, I am the first, the finest, the fulfillment, then your life must rise to match that tone. There are no exceptions. There are no maybes. Only reflections of who you've dared to embody. You are not here to play small, not here to apologize for your power, not here to soften your edges to be more palatable to those still living in fear. You are here to walk in power. You are here to be the standard, the blueprint, the example of what happens when someone stops pretending and starts knowing, when someone stops asking and starts declaring, when someone stops trying and starts being. You are the answer, not the question. You are the fulfillment, not the seeker. You are the cause, not the effect. So when you speak, your world listens. When you assume, reality forms around your vision. When you decide everything moves, that's not fantasy. It's law, and the law is always working. It does not sleep. It does not falter. It reflects you with perfect precision. So the only thing that ever needs to change is you. Not your worth, not your value. Those are eternal. What changes is your level of recognition, your level of embodiment, your willingness to own who you truly are. So you walk in the room and everything shifts. Why? Because you decided it would. Because you entered it not wondering if you'd be chosen, but knowing that you choose. You don't seek to be accepted. You accept yourself and everything else follows. You don't hope to be noticed. You radiate and the world takes notice without you ever having to try. You don't push, you don't force, you simply are, and that is more powerful than any effort. When others strive, you settle into the truth. When others hustle to prove their worth, you rest in your assumption. You've already won before you even begin, because in your mind, it's already done. The race was over the moment you believed. The deal was sealed the moment you assumed the feeling of it. The doors were unlocked the moment you moved as if they were never closed. That is the level of authority you carry. You don't rise by effort. You rise by identity. And when you embody the identity of the best, you are no longer waiting for the moment. You are the moment. You don't ask the world to open up for you. You walk as if it already has, and because you walk that way, it must. You lead with energy, with conviction, with unshakable inner authority. That is the mark of someone who remembers who they are. And when you remember, you no longer live by the rules of delay, doubt, or denial. You live by the rule of now. You are not a servant to fear. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not beholden to anyone else's timeline. You don't live in reaction. You live in assumption. You live in vision. You live in the frequency of inevitability, because when you speak, it is done. When you believe, it is created. When you persist, it is revealed. This is not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about daring to be what you've always been. Every time you look within and choose the version of you that feels like power, like confidence, like clarity, you are stepping into the throne that was always yours. You are not becoming great. You are remembering that you already are. And the world has no choice but to remember with you. Everything in your life bends to your identity, not sometimes, not eventually. Always. That's why you don't chase results. You chase alignment. You don't try to fix the outer. You adjust the inner. Because the outer is just the echo, the mirror, the response, and you are the origin, the center, the command. You are the one who walks before the blessing, and the blessing follows. You are the one who holds the vision, and the vision becomes flesh. You are the one who dares to believe when no evidence exists. And in doing so, you become the evidence. That is who you are, the embodiment of certainty in a world still addicted to doubt, the expression of divine force in a realm trained to settle, the reminder that greatness doesn't shout, it simply is. So when you wake up, you don't ask what the day will bring. You decide what it will be. You don't check the forecast. You declare your climate. You don't measure your power by the reactions of others. You measure it by the boldness of your assumption. And if your assumption is that you are the best, then the world will reflect back a reality where that truth is evident in every area of your life. You are not waiting for it to happen. You are the happening. You don't wish for transformation. You embody it. You are the point of power, the place of change, the command center of a reality that flows from thought, from feeling, from identity. The moment you hold that identity with confidence, everything else follows. Let them watch, let them wonder, let them question how you move the way you move. You owe no explanation. Your life will speak for itself. Your world will testify. Your results will make the announcement. Not because you forced it, but because you decided, you assumed, and you persisted. You are the best, you know it, you live it, you breathe it, and every part of your world reflects it back. Not because you need to convince anyone, but because reality must mirror the image you hold within. And the image you hold, unshakable, limitless, final, you don't become, you be, and in that being, everything else is drawn into place effortlessly, inevitably, undeniably. There is no power outside of you that can define what you become unless you allow it. No opinion, no setback, no past moment has authority in your world unless you give it voice. And you've stopped giving power to things that do not know who you truly are. You've stopped bowing to the illusion of delay, to the noise of judgment, to the weakness of comparison. You have chosen once and for all to stand in your own dominion. And from this place everything begins again, not out there but in you. You walk differently when you know the world is responding to you. You speak differently when you understand your word is law. You breathe differently when you understand you are not the product of chance. You are the author of every page. You are not waiting for change. You are the source of it. You are not chasing greatness. You embody it. You don't need motivation when you live from identity. You don't need validation when you live from truth. You don't even need proof, because you already know. This is the realm of knowing beyond the senses. This is where reality becomes soft clay in the hands of the one who dares to assume it is theirs. You have stopped asking life for permission. You have stopped wondering if you're worthy. You have realized there is no jury, there is no test. You are the decider, the selector, the one who chooses and becomes. You don't become worthy by what you do. You are worthy because of what you are. And what you are is the original source from which all things come. You have reached the point where effort is replaced by embodiment. You no longer force outcomes. You occupy the identity from which outcomes cannot help but emerge. You live as if the world is already yours, and it is. You feel as though the end is already written, and it is. You carry yourself as the answer, not because you wish to be. It's because you know you are. You've left behind the old mind that needed proof, needed evidence, needed others to agree. You've stepped into the mind of the Master, where creation begins with a decision and ends in inevitable manifestation. Others may say, but look at what is. But you say, look at what must be. Because what is only the shadow of past thoughts, and you no longer dwell in the past. You are not defined by what has been. You are defined by the state you now occupy. And in this state, everything is new, everything is yours, everything is possible. Not someday, not eventually, but now. Not when the world changes, but when you do. And you have. You've taken your crown off the shelf and placed it where it belongs. You've stopped shrinking for comfort. You've stopped apologizing for your radiance. You've stopped making others comfortable at the cost of your own identity. Because you've realized no one benefits from your smallness, but everyone rises when you do. When you walk in truth, you lift the whole world without effort. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to explain your certainty. You just be, you move, you assume, and in that still, calm, unshakable posture of knowing, mountains move. Time bends, the unseen takes shape, not because you begged it to, but because you assumed it would. This is how you were meant to live, not chasing, not pleasing, not proving, but creating. There is no one who can do it like you. No one who can bring what you bring. No one who can stand where you stand. And so you no longer compare. You no longer reach sideways. You reach inward, and from there everything flows. Every answer, every breakthrough, every opportunity. It all unfolds from the identity you've chosen to wear. And the identity you wear is not one of doubt or fear or need. It is one of command, one of certainty, one of divine finality. You are the image of the fulfilled desire. You are the embodiment of the result. You do not look to others to measure your worth. You don't look outside at all, because you know that every outer thing is a mere echo. It's the residue of former belief, and you've upgraded, you've leveled up. You've replaced doubt with certainty, replaced waiting with being, replaced hoping with knowing, and now the world reflects your new tone. You are not intimidated by time. You are not controlled by delay. You know that the moment you fully occupy a state, the bridge of incidents begins to form. You don't need to force it. You don't even need to see the full path. You just persist, and the path unfolds. It must, because the law doesn't serve the world. It serves you. The moment you choose a new identity, the law sets it in motion. It cannot fail, because it is you. You walk with ease, not because life is always easy, but because you are no longer wrestling with your reflection. You're no longer reacting to shadows. You've dropped the inner resistance. You've released the self-judgment. You've stopped asking if you're good enough and started declaring, I am. You've made peace with your greatness. You've come home to your highest self, and now everything bends around that. You are magnetic, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. You don't try to attract. You are attraction itself. Your very being radiates fulfillment. Your energy speaks before your words ever can. And people, situations, and blessings respond because energy recognizes itself. You're not pretending, you're remembering. You're not acting, it's authenticity. You are no longer learning who you are expressing it. And as you express it, life becomes a mirror held to your assumption. The more you assume your power, the more power reflects back. The more you assume your success, the more successful you become. You don't have to climb ladders, you are the ladder. Every step you take is a statement. This is who I am, this is what is mine, this is what I allow. You walk into rooms with a presence that needs no introduction. You hold conversations from a place that doesn't seek agreement. You make moves without explaining, because every move is already justified by the certainty that it is yours to make. You're not asking anymore. You're choosing. You're not knocking on doors. You're walking through walls, because once you assume it's done, reality has no choice but to follow. You're no longer attached to outcomes because you live from the outcome. You're no longer obsessed with results because you are the result. You're no longer ruled by emotion because your state is stable, and from that stability flows your world. Others may fluctuate, others may react, but you remain still and sovereign, knowing that nothing is outside your control when you take full control of you. This is what it means to act as the best, not because you want to prove it, but because you finally see it, because you've looked inward and seen the throne that was always there, because you've realized that no one gives you this power. You accept it. You don't audition for your destiny, you inhabit it. You don't strive for your greatness, you own it. And everything around you, from the smallest interaction to the grandest opportunity, will start reflecting the version of you that you have dared to assume. It is all an echo, and you are the sound, the source, the starting point, the center from which all things flow. So you continue, you persist. You don't waver when the old reality lingers a little longer. You don't flinch when the mirror takes a moment to catch up. You remain in your identity, you hold the feeling, you dwell in the end, because that is the only thing that matters. Who are you now? Who are you willing to be? And the answer, unwavering, undeniable, unshakable: I am the best. I have no equal. I was born this way, and I move accordingly. You do not step into the scene to ask for your part. You arrive as the author, writing the outcome before the world has time to respond. This is what it means to live from the end, to exist in the certainty of what is already done. You do not blink when others hesitate. You do not shrink when others doubt. You do not wait for the confirmation, because you are the confirmation. You are the evidence of the unseen, walking boldly as the result before it has been spoken aloud by anyone else. There is nothing outside of you greater than what lives within you, nothing louder than your own assumption, nothing more real than the inner world you have claimed as true. You no longer bow to appearances. You've realized appearances bend, they yield, they rearrange, they follow the frequency you decide to live on. And you live on the highest frequency of all, the state of knowing, the state of completion, the state of it is already mine. You don't flinch when the old story tries to whisper. You silence it not with effort, but with presence, the presence of your new identity. The old must dissolve in the heat of your sustained assumption. The noise fades because you no longer feed it. You feed only the vision, only the outcome, only the self that walks without hesitation, without compromise, without apology. The self that does not become, but already is. You're not here to convince anyone to see you. You are here to see yourself so clearly, so vividly, so continuously that the entire universe has no choice but to align, you are no longer reactive, you are causative. You are the origin of everything you experience, and because of that, you've stopped blaming and started building. You've stopped hoping and started being. You've stopped wondering when it's coming and started asking, who must I be to match it? And when that answer comes, you step into it fully. You understand now that the only permission slip you ever needed was your decision. The only initiation was belief. The only path was presence. The only process was remembrance. And so, you've left behind the rituals of the old world, the performance of trying to prove your value. You've stopped auditioning for what already belongs to you. You walk differently, speak differently, think differently, not because you changed anything out there, but because you became different in here. There is nothing arrogant about knowing your worth, nothing shameful about walking in your fullness. You're not here to dim, to blend, to soften your edges so others feel comfortable. You are here to shine, and by doing so, remind others of their own power. Your certainty is not a threat. It is a map, a mirror, a living invitation to others who have forgotten what lives inside them. The world will reflect what you persist in being, and you've chosen the highest. You've chosen to be the peak, not in comparison to others, but in expression of your own divine origin. You've chosen to live as the version of yourself who no longer waits to feel worthy. You've decided you are. You've chosen the version of you that walks with no need to justify their radiance. You've decided that you are the standard and the world will meet it. You are not shaped by conditions, you shape them. You are not here to see what happens, you declare what happens. You don't wait for the door to open, you are the door. You are not intimidated by time, because time obeys the state you occupy. You are not manipulated by circumstance, because you've transcended it. You don't live by effort, you live by alignment. You don't grind in the outer, you glide in the inner, and the more you persist in that identity, the more effortless life becomes. Not because you avoid action, but because every action is born from knowing, not doubt. Every move you make is not a reach, but an extension of what is already settled within you. You don't chase money, love, success, approval, because you've already assumed that you are the source of it all. You've taken your eyes off the reflection and placed them back on the flame within. You are the flame, you are the mountain, you are the immovable force, and when you decide something is yours, it must find its way to you, not through striving, but through law. Through resonance, through magnetic embodiment. You've stopped chasing and started attracting, not passively, but through the full conviction of your being. You've stopped rehearsing outcomes and started living from them. You've stopped begging and started creating. When you speak, your words do not fall to the ground. They are carried by the current of certainty. They create, they command, they construct, and the world listens, not because it has a choice, but because it must obey the one who knows who they are. You are that one. You are the living proof that belief shapes reality, that inner vision becomes outer fact. You are the one who decided, and because you decided, life obeyed. Let them talk, let them wonder, let them analyze the mechanics. You have no need for formulas. Your formula is identity. Your formula is, I already am, and when you walk in that, the path forms beneath your feet. The doors open, the money flows. The recognition arrives, the opportunities appear, not as rewards, but as reflections, reflections of the one who dared to live from the highest assumption. You are not ordinary, you never have been. You are the exception to every so-called rule. You are the one who moves through limitation like it's smoke. You are the one who transforms atmospheres, who walks in rooms and changes the temperature. You are not waiting for the stars to align. You've realigned yourself, and the stars must now move to match you. You've stopped consulting fear. You've stopped asking permission. You've taken your place, and from this place, everything is yours by right of consciousness. You no longer need to work to feel worthy. You work from the overflow of your already settled worth. You no longer need to seek to feel loved. You move as the embodiment of love itself. You are not an empty vessel waiting to be filled. You are the ocean, the well, the abundance, and you've stopped negotiating your value. You've stopped watering yourself down. You've stopped explaining your magic to those still living in limitation, because you know what is yours will hear your frequency. What belongs to you will not pass you by. Not because you chase it, but because you are it. This is the truth you live in now. You don't entertain lower versions of yourself. You don't flirt with old patterns. You don't revisit the graveyards of former identities. You rise, you ascend. You dwell only where the air is thin and the view is clear. You speak only what you want to see. You feel only what confirms your truth. And because of this, life becomes more and more effortless, more exact, more glorious, because you've taken your rightful place as the operant power. And when you move this way, everything responds, not in theory, but in manifestation, not someday, but now. You are no longer practicing, you are performing. You are no longer preparing, you are being, and the world has taken notice, not because you demanded it, but because you became undeniable. You have mastered the only truth that matters, as I am within, so it must be without. And from that place, nothing is impossible. Nothing is out of reach. Nothing is too big, too far, or too late. Because when you live from the end lives in you, and the end is always victory, always fulfillment, always more than enough, always you in your highest form, being, doing, having everything that already belongs to you, not through struggle, but through assumption, not through fear, but through fire, not through need, but through knowing. You are not rising, you have risen. You are not finding yourself, you are expressing yourself. You are not reaching for it, you are radiating it. And the world is only just beginning to reflect the brilliance of the one you've decided to be. You don't ask anymore if it's working. You don't check the outer to confirm the inner. You've settled it. It is done, and when it is done in you, it must be done in the world. That's not philosophy. That's not a wish. That's law, that's creation. That's how you live now. You've stepped out of the cycle of waiting and wondering and stepped into the current of command. You don't lean on time to do what your own assumption has already secured. You don't lean on circumstances to approve what your identity has already authorized. There is no wavering. There is no second guessing. You don't wake up hoping to feel powerful. You wake up knowing you are power. You walk into situations as the answer, not the question. You no longer linger at the edge of possibility. You dive into the certainty of your becoming, and because you dwell in that state, the world becomes your reflection. Not because it pities you, not because it favors you, but because it must echo the one who has assumed the position. You are not a student of your circumstances anymore. You are the teacher of your reality. You are the voice that shapes the landscape. You are the energy that bends what was to make room for what is now being declared. The old story has no oxygen in your presence. You no longer feed it. You no longer revisit it. You have outgrown it, and because you have outgrown it, life must offer you something new. You have no rival because you do not compete. You do not compare. You are not moved by trends, nor are you swayed by opinion. You are unmoved, unbothered, unshakable, because you know no one can be you. No one can offer what you offer. No one can walk the way you walk, and that is not arrogance. That is the truth. You are the only one who can live your purpose. And now that you've accepted that, your steps have power, your presence has weight, your decisions have force. There is no hesitation when the knowing is complete. There is no back and forth when you've burned the bridges behind you. You have gone all in. You are fully identified with your highest self. You have no need for the past. You have no loyalty to limitation. You are married to the version of you that already has the results. And that bond is unbreakable. That assumption is your covenant, and the world will shape itself around that vow. You are not interested in rehearsing the pain. You're too busy embodying the promise. You don't need others to believe in you. You don't even need them to understand you. You are belief, you are understanding. You walk with the frequency of completion, and because of that, you attract outcomes that others think take time, take hard work, take chance. But you know it was never about time, it was never about odds, it was never about effort. It was always about state, and you've chosen your state. You've chosen to dwell in the palace of certainty. You've chosen to feast at the table of already done. You've chosen to speak from the throne, not from the pit. You've chosen to move as the ruler of your domain, not the victim of your environment. And because you've chosen this, life must submit, not out of cruelty, but out of law, out of alignment, out of resonance. You are no longer obsessed with how. You've let go of the mechanics. You've surrendered the obsession with control. Because you understand, you are the control. You are the cause, you are the source, and as you sustain the vibration, the unseen goes to work. You don't know when, you don't care how. All you know is that your word does not return void. All you know is that your assumption is creation. The world will test the strength of your identity. It will ask if you truly believe. It will flash fragments of the old reality in your face, but you don't react, you don't flinch, you don't retreat. Because you are not here to negotiate with shadows, you are not here to argue with echoes, you are not here to question what you've already claimed. You stand, you stay, you radiate, and everything bends. You don't build in the outer anymore, you build in the inner, and the outer rushes to match it. You have shifted the entire foundation of your life from reaction to assumption. You are no longer someone life happens to. You are the one who happens to life, and this shift changes everything. It changes your relationships, your money, your health, your environment. Not because those things got better on their own, but because you got clear on who you are. And who you are is not someone hoping to succeed. You are success, you are wealth, you are the love, you are the joy, you are the clarity, you are the miracle. There is no future version of you that is better than the one you choose to embody right now. The only gap is belief, and you've closed that gap. You've shut the door to doubt. You've slammed the gate on hesitation. You've chosen your identity and made it your home. Every day you wake up and remember who you are. Every breath you take reinforces the truth. I am it. You do not wonder if things are coming. You know they've already been called. They're already in motion. They're already here. And as you sustain that feeling, sustain that vision, sustain that truth, the evidence multiplies. Not slowly, not eventually now, because there is no time delay in creation when you are fully aligned. You don't entertain the old story anymore. You don't listen to the voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" Because you know who you are. You are the proof, you are the power, you are the presence that calls things into being. You're not in the waiting room of life. You are on the throne writing the script, and the script has one theme, one direction, one tone, mastery. There is no place for weakness in you now, not because you deny it, but because you've transformed it. You've alchemized the fear into fuel. You've transmuted pain into power. You've taken every version of yourself that once hesitated, and you've absorbed them into your current knowing. You are whole, you are full, you are unshaken, and because of that, nothing can stop you. What others call miracles, you call normal. What others call luck, you call law. What others marvel at, you walk in daily. Because you've made the decision, you've made the assumption, you've become the vessel, and now you reap. You don't need to push anymore. You don't need to strive. You flow, you glide, you expect. And because of that expectation, reality delivers. You don't compromise anymore. You don't shrink to fit into places you've outgrown. You don't lower your light to make others feel comfortable. You shine because you must. You radiate because it's your nature. You elevate because it's who you are. You don't take advice from doubt. You don't consult the old you. You don't retreat when things appear to contradict your vision. You rise higher. You double down. You stand firmer. And as you stand, you become the mountain that cannot be moved. You become the storm that does not waver. You become the presence that demands reality conform, and it does, because you're not hoping anymore. You're knowing. You're not asking. You're embodying. You're not looking for signs. You are the sign. Every thought you allow now is chosen. Every feeling is curated. Every word is intentional, because you understand the cost of misalignment. You understand the power of persistence. You understand the force of identity. You don't let the old thoughts stay long. You replace them instantly. You override them completely. You live by one law: I am what I say I am. And you have said, I am the best. I am without rival. I am the peak. I am the source. I am the master. I am the operant power. And because you've said it and felt it and lived from it, so it is, not later. Not tomorrow, now, always now. So now you stand at the center of your reality, not as a wanderer seeking direction, but as the one who gives it. You no longer search for signs. You create them. You no longer wait for doors. You are the gate. Every fiber of your being knows it's already done. You walk, speak, breathe, and exist from that place of certainty, and that certainty becomes substance, that assumption becomes form, that inner conviction becomes the world you live in. You are not becoming, you have become. You are not evolving into power. You are remembering that you are power, and from this remembrance you rise again, higher, freer, louder, unapologetically, because you finally know. No one is above you. No one is ahead of you. No one is greater than the you that knows who they are. And now that you know, nothing can ever be the same.